Okay, and welcome to episode 30 of the Dreamhills 2 podcast. Some more news from last week about the house collapse. There's a total of 8 families that are still unable to return to their homes in the Orihuela Costa following the partial collapse of an apartment block in their urbanisation on September the 26th. 2 British residents, as you know, were rescued from inside the 2-storey building of the 8 apartments in the residential Laguna 3 on the Cal Limon in the Horizonte area. When the incident occurred, one of whom suffered extensive bruising and the other was treated for shock. The other apartments were unoccupied, but council engineers have decided the structure is too dangerous and unstable for the residents of the 6 nearest apartments to return, in case of the rest of the building gives way. Councillor Sofia Alvarez said that these people were briefly allowed into their homes on Wednesday to collect personal belongings under the supervision of the local police, the Protection Civil and the emergency services. After that, she was also saying that she explained that 3 families have temporarily gone back to the UK, 2 are being accommodated in the hotel, 1 is staying with friends and another has moved to a rented apartment. Senora Alves said her department has been enabling the international residents to obtain copies of their NIE, residency and other basic documents and helping them with the relevant paperwork. The British man rescued from the collapsed ground floor apartment was discharged from Torrevieja Hospital on Tuesday but still requires ongoing care as the clouds of dust aggravated a pre-existing chronic health problem, explained a friend. He noted that the local community rallied round at the weekend when local pubs, the Friendly Bar and the Stumble Inn held raffle and raised €1,035 to help those affected. The Councillor for Town Planning, Rafael Almagro, told Costa Blanca News that the conclusion from the Town Hall investigation into whether the collapsed block can be restored is expected in a few days. The engineer's report is nearly finished, but it seems that the 8 properties will have to be demolished. Senor Almagro would not repeat the mayor's claim last week that unauthorised work by a resident may have resulted in the collapse. He emphasised that the council's report is not intended to find out the cause and insisted that this is the responsibility of the insurance companies. The council's responsibility was to take initial precautions and safety measures and to establish whether the properties have to be demolished, he said. He also is past the hot potato of deciding who is liable, to be worked out between the insurance companies of the community of residents and those of the affected homeowners. The amounts of any compensation that may be due will depend on the conditions of those policies, and there could be delays if the insurers disagree with each other. He also denied a Spanish newspaper's claim that the town hall had refused access to insurance companies. She said the engineers from one may have already taken samples of the ground and any water from below the building. So let's hope everything's sorted out there. Obviously, with people now homeless, they haven't got any homes. But it looks like everybody's being looked after and sorted. So well done to the council for that. At least it's something that they've been doing correctly for once anyway. So on to the next story. And then the next story, it's about the San Miquel mine. Remember rightly, I told you about a couple of weeks back and even last week about the prospect of a gypsum open cast mine being done in the San Miguel area. Well, expats in the San Miguel de Salinas and nearby villages and urbanisations have been invited to an informative meeting in English about the gypsum open cast mine project, which has been planned in the municipality by a national company. It will take place on Monday, October the 8th. Sorry about the very short notice here, but I've only just received this. At 10:15 in the San Miguel Archangel Residents Association offices at Cal 19 de Abril 47. The association president, Manolo Gomez, told Costa Blanca News that they aim to make expat residents aware of the dramatic impact such a scheme would have on their lives and on the local economy and environment. We need expat residents to join us and fight against this project, he said. The association set up a committee to fight against the scheme last week. It is made up of local traders, residents, farmers, landowners and local business people. Expats are invited to join as representative of their communities. The committee has launched a petition and will submit objections against the project, which is currently on public display. The company has asked for the regional government for a licence to prospect for gypsum in a 1,400 hectare area in San Miguel de Salinas. The scheme actually is based on a Spanish mining law dating back to the dictatorship in Franco, which promotes mining activities as being in the general interest and gives them priority. Senor Gomez stressed that it was time to join forces and fight against a project which would bring daily explosions, heavy machinery, dust and destruction of the landscape. As I said last week, and maybe even a couple of weeks ago as well, even though this is in the San Miguel area and people may think it may not affect us in the Dreamhills 2 area, with the explosions going on and dust and with the wind that we get sometimes, even though it's a fair distance away, we may still actually hear explosions. We may even have the dust being blown over and several other things. So if you can go to this and maybe represent the Dreamhills 2 area, if anybody wants to go there, as I said, if you go there on October the 8th at 10:15 at the San Miguel Archangel Residents Association offices, and as I said, that's in the Cal 19 Abril 47 area in San Miguel. On to the next story then, shall we? And then the next story here involves, and guess what, it's Corvera Airport again. The taxi drivers from Cartagena, San Javier, Alcantarilla and other towns in the Murcia region are joining forces to fight the regional government's plan for the service at Corvera Airport. Regional Councillor for Public Works Patricia Valverde announced last week that only taxi drivers with a licence issued by Murcia City Hall will be allowed to pick up passengers from the new international airport. City drivers had threatened to stage weekly protests if the regional government failed to guarantee their monopoly of the service. She also agreed to the demands following meetings with drivers' representatives. He noted that the airport stands in Murcia municipality, and according to national law, only drivers with a licence issued by the local authority are entitled to operate the service at the airport, as is the case with Elche drivers at Alicante Elche Airport. He pointed out that taxi drivers from other towns can take passengers to Corvera, but they cannot collect customers unless the passenger has asked previously in writing for the service. The decision has outraged taxi drivers from Cartagena, San Javier and other nearby towns. Both Cartagena and San Javier mayors claimed that Corvera Airport should be turned into a common taxi service area, as is the case at Santander and Granada airports. San Javier driver Francisco Alviles said that currently they depend on Murcia San Javier Airport to make a living. All we ask for, he says, is that 6 taxis, and only 6 taxis, from the San Javier are allowed to work at Corvera Airport, which should not lead to a loss for other taxi drivers, considering the estimation of 5 million passengers by the authorities. In the meantime, no information about any public transport routes from Mar Menor towns to Corvera has been published by the regional government, even though the airport is set to open in 3 months' time. As I said, this is getting a little bit silly, I think. The taxi drivers not being allowed to go anywhere into the airport just because they're not in Murcia City. It seems really stupid to me. Also, there's no information yet about any public transport routes, so no one knows if there's going to be any buses going into the Mar Menor areas, any buses going to anywhere, including up to our area. This, I think, as I said, it's supposed to be opening in January next year. If this keeps on going on, I can't see many people wanting to fly into there, even though Jet2 and EasyJet have said that they will be flying into there. If there's going to be no public transport and there's no agreement with taxi drivers, I can see people just not bothering and going to Alicante Airport, as most of them do now. We're going to go on to one more story, and this is it's concerning, really, if I remember rightly, about the holiday home law that we have in the area. So we'll get on to that one, shall we? Okay, so this story is concerning the holiday home law. The Orihuela Council's councillor for tourism, Sofia Alvarez, has asked Valencia to change the new law governing tourist apartment lettings, as it is impossible for the councils to control them. According to Senora Alvarez, the regional law entitles councils to regulate and issue licences for holiday apartments and forces them to change their town plan. However, the law does not include the requirements that tourism apartment owners and councils should adhere to, according to Senora Alvarez. She says that the law is full of contradictory articles. On one hand, it limits the amount of licences that can be issued, and on the other hand, it states that all unregistered holiday apartments must have a licence. The law has to be reviewed and clarified to enable unregistered holiday lets to get a licence. Senora Alves highlighted that tourism plays a key role in the economy of Alicante province and stressed that 70% of regional tourism income comes from the area. However, the local Socialist Party councillor Maria Garcia's bid to get the ruling coalition council in Orihuela to call a meeting of the local tourist board via a motion presented in last Thursday's full council meeting was voted down. Her aim was to ask to all parties involved in the tourism industry for their suggestions over the letting of holiday apartments. She highlighted that the board had not convened for the last 2 years, even though tourism plays a key role in the local economy. Now, this seems a little bit stupid for me. As you know, all unregistered, as it says, all unregistered holiday apartments should have a licence. Well, what happens then? You want to be registered, you want to be all legal. You go to get registered and they say, well, no, sorry, you can't do because we've run out of licences to give you. This seems really, really, really stupid. And hopefully they will get that law changed because, there are people that do want to be legal and doing the proper thing, but then can't be legal because the licences have run out. They haven't got any left. Okay. Well, thank you for listening again. It's been nice to talk to you and give you some information as much as I can. And I'll speak to you next week. I'll be doing one more next Friday. And then after that, I'll be out there for a week. So see you all out there. And if I see you around, please say hello. Thank you again and goodbye.